Hey, hi. Welcome to another incredibly informational episode of Busboy Millionaire. I don't think informational is even a word, but I'm using it. Okay, so one of the big things about real estate is people always ask me is how do you find good tenants? So let's assume you get a place and you are going to rent it out, and a big part of your experience as a real estate investor and landlord is going to be all about picking the right tenant. It's the most, probably the most important thing as opposed to, well, next to buying the right place. So, how did I do that? So, this was, I'm trying to think if, did I buy places before the internet? Well, basically, I used to do is you could do a credit check. And you could do a credit check, you would pay for it, Equifax, I think it was, and you get a credit check done on somebody. Then you would also get a job letter, and also you'd want a reference from the last landlord. So I've had 99.99% success with all my tenants. Some of my tenants still reach out to me. I still have a couple of tenants that have been there for maybe 10 years. And it all comes down to how you screen them. Um, I found even like the credit check wasn't the most, like, doesn't mean a lot, but the most important thing was uh, getting a job letter and a pay stub, seeing how much they make, and then the landlord check. But you don't want to check back just one landlord because that landlord may be having problems with this tenant and they are happy to see them go. So what you want to do is you want to check two landlords back. So the current one and the one before that, and get on the phone with them as opposed to just an email. Because when you're talking to landlords, you get a real sense of whether or not they're telling the truth or not. It's easy to lie in email if they want to get rid of a tenant or they don't, when they're talking to you, they will open up. They will tell you the truth eventually. Even if they're hedging on it at first, they will eventually tell you exactly what you want to know about this current tenant. So definitely speak to them, and look at that, the job letter. And when you get that job letter, also contact the person that's referenced in the job letter. Anybody could put together a job letter now. Anybody could Photoshop a pay stub. So check everything. Now, when I said I had 99.99% good luck with tenants, the 0.001% I had bad luck with wasn't my fault. And it was because I sort of trusted a tenant and I didn't vet the other person. So I'll explain it this way. This is what I had. I had a great tenant. She had a basement apartment. She was awesome. And then she got a boyfriend. Fine. And then the boyfriend wanted to move in. Okay. But I assumed because she was so cool that she's obviously going to have a relationship with an equally cool person. I was wrong. I was so wrong. This guy was a douche. And like to the point he was terrorizing the tenants that we had the floor above. There's these two really sweet girls, and they would call me and like say, "This guy's like," he was scaring them to the point that they actually had to call me, and I was going like, "Holy shit, this guy is like, he's a train wreck." So I had to go and get in front of this guy's face and tell him to stop doing shit. And I blame myself for the situation because what I should have done, I didn't follow my own rules. My rules were check the people out that are coming to live in the house. Landlord check, job letter, credit check. I just took for granted that this girl was so cool that the person that she had having a relationship with, he was equally cool, and I just assumed. And I paid for that assumption. and I will never forget it, and I'll never make that mistake again. So when you make a lease with somebody, you can't put on that lease who's allowed on the lease. And then if they bring somebody else in, a significant other, friend, relative, doesn't matter who it is, check that other person out thoroughly. Because if you just assume that they're as cool as the person that you found that's renting the place, you could be wrong. And you're going to be left with holding a bag that's stinky. I eventually had to evict both of them. And I almost got into a fight with this dude. He was yelling in my face. I was right up in his face, and it was a thing. It was a total thing. But eventually I went through the legal channels and I gave them official notice and an eviction, and they backed down and they moved out. They huffed and puffed for a while, and it was going to be, it was going to be a thing, but they eventually said, okay, we're going to go, because the law was on my side. If they didn't leave, then the police would get involved, and et cetera, et cetera. So it was a lesson well learned. The other thing about tenants is, when you've got a great tenant, once you get them, I never raise the rent on my places. You're allowed a certain percentage, but I've got a tenant right now. He's awesome. He's helped me do renovations. I paid him and stuff like that. He's done renovations on the apartment, but I've never touched his rent. I've never raised it. I think he's been there 10 years. What is an extra $20 going to do for me? It's like so trivial, and it doesn't make any sense to no. If you've got a great tenant, that's just me. If you got a great tenant, I would always don't raise the rent for a piddly amount. It's almost like a thank you to them. And this guy, I never hear from him unless he's actually renovating. And he'll say, can I buy some drywall and take it off the rent? I said, sure, yeah, go ahead, do it. So when you've got great tenants, after you've finally found them, do what you can to hold on to them. When I had long-term tenants as well, at Christmas I always gave them like a bottle of wine as a thank you, and it was greatly appreciated. And also I would hit up those tenants for new tenants. So if one of my places became vacant, I would just ask them. It's the old saying, good people know good people, except for that one tenant that had the crazy boyfriend. But I would ask them, and I would usually find great tenants from them. And up to this day, my old tenants still reach out to me if they're looking for a place, or a friend of theirs is looking for a place. And I'm more than happy to accommodate them if I've got something. But it's a huge deal in your real estate investment adventure, to make sure that you get the right tenants, because they can make or break you. And if you're lazy about screening them, you're going to pay for it in the end. The other thing I do too is, when you do get tenants, I say to them, listen, set expectations about things. Like if a bulb blows, go buy a bulb, change it yourself, and keep the receipt and give it to me at the end of the year, all your receipts and little things, and I will reimburse you. Because you don't want to get calls about changing a light bulb or simple things. So once you get them, set expectations, make your job easier, and let them know what you're going to do and what you won't be able to do. You've got to fix things if things really break, but if it's simple stuff, just tell them to be proactive and empower them, and they'll know, okay, then I just got to buy this. I'll keep the receipt at the end of the year. Here's an envelope filled with $100 worth of stuff, and I give them that money back. And it's worked. It continues to work. And I don't get, annoying calls just to go change a light bulb. So anyways, that's how to pick tenants. I think that's the main thing, was just really, really vet them. Don't be lazy about it, and don't take another tenant's word for them bringing in somebody else to be part of the rental, because you don't know. They could be wonderful people to that person, but to you they could be like a lot of trouble. So vet any single person that's coming to join with your tenants in any of your units. Okay, that's all I got. Best Boy Millionaire out.